Hello, a very good evening to you. Welcome to ITV News. This is Thursday night's calendar.
And here are tonight's main stories.
Crossing a line, the Sheffield traders who say parking restrictions are putting people out of business.
It would deter people to stop at Bannercross, taking away the very little passing traffic we get, and would take it to other places such as the town centres and to Meadowhall Shopping Centre, which would be an end for local businesses around here.
The cost of living, the steps a single mother is taking to keep her house. Now her mortgage repayments have doubled.
I've cancelled my gym membership, for example. I've changed where my little boy goes swimming so that it's closer and it's cheaper. We go supermarket shopping on an evening when things are reduced.
We find out how golf can still be enjoyed regardless of any disabilities.
And one of the only two living Windrush passengers, Alfred Gardner, recounts that historic voyage on its 75th anniversary.
Hello, welcome to the programme. First tonight, and the growing concerns of businesses on a busy South Yorkshire street, where many say council proposals for tough new parking restrictions will force them to close.
Yes, if they're given the green light, the scheme would see double red lines replace double yellows on Ecclesall Road in Sheffield. That would mean no parking between 7 in the morning and 7 at night and be enforced with cameras. Well, Martin Fisher is on Ecclesall Road tonight. And Martin, what could this mean for the businesses where you are?
Well, to be blunt, a lot of the businesses I've talked to today have said they're thinking about closing or will close if these proposals go ahead. Now, this is a busy thoroughfare that leads into Sheffield. It's populated by lots of independent shops, the sort of shops you might pop into to get something to eat or drink or even go to the post office. And you can do that now because there are parking spaces. But if this scheme goes ahead, well, that'll all be blown away and these yellow lines beneath me will be turning red.
It's busy at this coffee shop and bakery on Ecclesall Road. For owner Tim Nye, though, like many other small businesses, he's dealing with the pressures of rising energy prices and the cost of living crisis. He needs customers, but if people can't park, he fears they may stay away.
We've already seen a dip because of the cost of living crisis and everything else. People are understandably tightening the belts. And hospitality work on really tight margins, and that's the key to remember here. And so if you do take a hit, say even if it's just 10%, it could be the difference between staying in business.
Richard Brogden runs a dental practice on the road.
The accessibility for our patients will be severely compromised, and that not only goes for our families and most patients, but particularly it has a serious effect on the more vulnerable, our elderly, our frail and our disabled patients.
For pub owner Andy Grice, not being able to get deliveries in and out during the day would be disastrous.
Impacting on that alone would be massively detrimental, and at a time when we're running arguably at 0 to 5% net profit, you take away our deliveries in that context there, and it's going to close businesses.
A petition against the plans has already hit over 15,000 signatures. Traders say a few years ago empty business units would be snapped up. That's not the case now, and they fear the red line scheme could make matters a lot worse. Now, already on this road, there's about 40 empty business units like this one next to Andy's business, who fears for the future should this red line scheme go ahead. And on the other side, sandwiching it, another empty unit. Across the road, and the post office plays a vital role in the community here.
It would mean the end of business, unfortunately. It would deter people to stop at Bannercross, taking away the very little passing traffic we get, and would take it to other places such as the town centres and to Meadowhall Shopping Centre, which would be an end for local businesses around here.
Businesses still hope to alter the plans. If they can't, for many here, a line will have been crossed. That means they'll shut. Martin Fisher, ITV News in Sheffield.
Well, we have raised the issues from today's report with Sheffield City Council, but we haven't yet received a response.
Next tonight, a single mother from North Yorkshire has seen her mortgage payments almost double as interest rates rose today and inflation at its highest for more than 30 years.
And one West Yorkshire business says it too is facing soaring costs and needs the government to act so those interest rates can come down.
Well, our political correspondent Katie Oscroft is in Westminster for us. And Katie, how has today's news gone down?
Well, Ian, first of all, this is complex. The size of that rise in interest rates was unexpected. Longer term, it's supposed to bring down inflation, and the message is bear with it. But what really matters is the impact that it has on people now. And that's people like Becky McLean from Knaresborough. She's bringing up her little boy on her own, and she now has a mortgage which has almost doubled to £1,300 a month. And she is stuck with that for 2 years.
I've cancelled my gym membership, for example. I've changed where my little boy goes swimming so it's closer and it's cheaper. We go supermarket shopping on an evening when things are reduced. So your shopping doesn't cost as much. There are various apps now that you can use where food is discounted. As a parent, it's your responsibility to ensure that you've got a safe, warm roof over your child's head.
A difficult situation there for Becky, but this is something which businesses like this haulage company in Halifax say has hit them hard too. Its bosses say they feel let down by the government on all fronts in recent months.
Other costs are soaring. The cost of trucks, the cost of parts, the cost of insurance, the cost of finance, salaries. We've asked. Too late. So the only thing that they can do is to help the country bring down interest rates so people can spend, and it's that will help to keep our trucks moving.
People like Becky and Leslie are clearly looking to politicians for answers though, Katie, aren't they? What have they had to say?
Well, Ian, the Shadow Chancellor of the Exchequer, Rachel Reeves, has been out outlining Labour's plans. The Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak, well, he was on a visit to Kent today and he was just putting out the message, don't panic.
I'm here to tell you that I am totally 100% on it, and it is going to be okay, and we are going to get through this. And that is the most important thing I wanted to let you know today.
There should be a proper windfall tax on the huge profits the energy giants are making, and using that money to help people with their bills, whilst also providing this support to people with their mortgage payments.
Well, the problem is, of course, you've got people like Becky in Knaresborough struggling to pay the mortgage, and businesses like the one we saw in Halifax, they are living through this situation, and for them these are currently very clearly hard times.
They certainly are. Katie Oscroft at Westminster, thank you.
Well, do stay with us, because still to come on Thursday night's calendar, we're heading to Berlin to meet the Sheffield cyclist who's won silver at the Special Olympics. And
if you don't recognise these rocks or this view, there's a certain poet laureate who's hoping to put them even more firmly on the map. Find out how and why later.
But first, when an older loved one moves into a care home, you would normally think it'll be the place they'll stay for the remainder of their lives. But ITV's Tonight programme has been investigating the concerning rise of care evictions. In the last 18 months, 11,000 residents have been served notices to leave. That equates to 20 every day. Jane Freeman's father, Richard, was evicted from his care home in Sheffield. A series of complaints from her had led to conflict with management.
It was a massive shock. We were expecting, looking at the home, putting in a plan to fix the telephone line, but instead it was they found myself and my sister too difficult to work with. We're washing our hands of you, we don't want this problem anymore, and here's the eviction. Absolute panic, we were distraught.
Well, Richard's former care home said on rare occasions they need to relocate residents, but this decision is always a last resort with formal steps along the way. And you can find out more on ITV's Tonight programme from 8:30 on ITV1 this evening.
After publishing a 4-page apology to campaigners over their handling of the Sheffield street trees dispute, the City Council now plans to install a plaque in recognition of that fight to save them. The council was found to have misled the public and courts over the moves to cut down more than 17,000 trees. A damning report into the council's actions was published in March. The plaque is estimated to cost around £10,000 and will be unveiled at the Town Hall next spring.
Now, the ITV Evening News continues at 6:30 after calendar with more on rising mortgage rates. Here's a look at what else is happening with Mary Nightingale.
Coming up with the programme, misery for mortgage holders as interest rates rise to 5%, the highest in 15 years. The Bank of England is battling to bring down soaring prices, but will its tactic pay off? Also tonight, we'll bring you the very latest on the search to find the lost Titanic son. Here, it's 75 years since the Empire Windrush docked, celebrating the pioneers who came from the Caribbean. And join me for those stories and more at 6:30.
Will do, Mary. Thank you. Here, though, it's time for some sport now, and Arif's here with us in the studio. Arif, the football fixtures are out. What can we expect to see on the first day of the season?
Well, Lisa, the new football season's just 7 weeks away. It's going to absolutely fly by, isn't it?
Yeah, can't believe it's coming up that close.
Yeah, I know. And, well, the football fixture computer has thrown out some tasty first games. The pick of them sees newly promoted Sheffield Wednesday kick off the Championship season on Friday the 4th of August against newly relegated Southampton. Leeds host Cardiff in a repeat of the FA Cup third round, which they won. Neil Warnock's Huddersfield travel to Plymouth and Rotherham go to Stoke. Well, that's all to come, but in the here and now, we've been bringing you stories from the Special Olympics in Berlin all this week, and today we're looking at cycling. Team GB have 7 athletes hoping to ride to a medal, including Niall Gwait from our region, as Catherine Walker reports.
The next 3 riders.
Against the backdrop of Brandenburg Gate, it's time for Niall from Sheffield to put his training into action.
It's an honour and I'm really proud as well. And the training's been going superb.
Next up, Ben Fye got the opportunity to cycle by Berlin's iconic landmarks.
Go GB! Go GB!
Cheered on by his fans.
I'm feeling great. And then also, absolutely brilliant. The weather was very good. And then, yeah, we were all great.
Niall and Ben Fye are part of a 7-strong team representing Great Britain in cycling.
Brilliant, Ella, brilliant.
Coach Michelle says she couldn't be prouder.
It makes you smile, it makes you cry, because they are so lovely. They're just such careful and considerate people. And then on the track, they've been amazing. They've been really dedicated and on fire.
And there's no one more dedicated than Dom. Watching in the stands, he's eager for his turn on the track.
I am well focused, looking forward to going on this ride, and so I'll be looking forward to going on the track and then just do my best.
It's a challenge in the 30-degree heat, but Milena isn't fazed.
I like cycling because cycling is really fun and I don't really get full, but it can make you a little bit sweaty, but it doesn't matter if you get sweaty because you could drink lots of water. And cycling is actually fun as well because it's fantastic and it makes me happy and joyful.
And it's that emotion that makes it all worthwhile for head coach Tim.
It's amazing. I've never experienced anything like it. They've shut down the centre of Berlin for our athletes. That's what I'm talking about, inclusion. It's the pride of my life.
The impact of these games on the coaches and athletes can't be underestimated. And these memories at Brandenburg Gate will last a lifetime. Catherine Walker, ITV News in Berlin.
And it was a job well done to Niall, who we've seen in Catherine's report there, after he picked up a silver medal today. And finally from me, the game of golf can be seen quite elitist and a bit of a members club. But the game is trying to change its image by showing it's open and inclusive to all. On Disabled Golf Week, Calvary Golf Club threw open its doors to show how it's more accessible to anyone with neurological or physical disabilities than ever before. Driving towards a more open and inclusive sport. Players are taking part in a taster session to see how golf can still be enjoyed regardless of any neurological or physical disabilities. Double amputee David Kirkham sold his car to buy this especially adapted chair that allows him back on the course enjoying the game he loves.
I had been told that machines, this golf buggy was available, and when I became a bilateral above the knee amputee, all I wanted was my independence back. But I was going to meeting my friends at golf and they were talking golf and not talking to me. And from there it's been gone from strength to strength.
A lot of people think that golf is more for, shall we say, the more able-bodied people. So the idea is to say, no, there should be no boundaries, no limits to what a disabled person can do. Don't exclude them from day-to-day kind of activities, and especially golf.
Danny Crosby first swung a club in 2015, but was told she'd have to give up golf after being diagnosed with cerebral palsy. Events like this have shown with a slight adaptation to her swing, she can still play one-handed.
The doctor said I wouldn't be able to do anything. So, and I'm proving them wrong. To be able to play golf just like anyone else. My ability is stronger than my disability.
Former golf pro Gary Day knows all about the accessibility challenges golf can bring. After 16 years on the tour, Gary suffered a stroke in 2015. The use of his left arm is now severely limited. Through his foundation, he's now putting golf on the map for everyone.
What's rewarding for me is seeing people who have never played the game before and people who are in similar circumstances as myself, where we have restricted mobility, and just seeing them smile fuels it makes me feel better about seeing things, and so it's most beneficial.
This taster session has shown that golf is more accessible for everyone than first thought. And even if you're not the next Tiger Woods, you can still enjoy a round of golf. Open and inclusive. That's
Absolutely.
how sport should be, shouldn't it?
Yeah, loads of smiles in both those last reports.
It was brilliant.
Really enjoyable
Absolutely
to see.
good.
Thanks, Arif.
You're welcome.
I'll tell you what, Lisa, we've gone past the longest day.
Yeah.
Arif's just told us the football season is looming. It's fast approaching.
Summer's only just...
Christmas is
don't say it, don't say it.
Now then, to the extraordinary Windrush pioneer who's marking 75 years to the day since he disembarked the famous ship to begin his new life on British soil.
Yes, Alfred Gardner, who's 97, was on board the first voyage taking young men from the Caribbean to England on the Empire Windrush back in 1948.
He's thought to be one of just a few passengers still alive to tell the tale. And his story is one that's about to be told in print for the very first time. Jonathan Brown's been to meet him.
Arrivals at Tilbury. The Empire Windrush brings to Britain 500 Jamaicans.
It's a voyage that's gone down in history. A day many believe helped to shape the future not just of these men, but of a modern, multicultural Britain.
I wasn't the first one coming off, even though I could have been if I'd have known it would come to this. But I didn't know. I didn't expect it.
Alfred was on that very boat. At 97, he's one of its last surviving passengers, though while he says its significance only later became clear to him, his role in the Windrush story is still sinking in.
As a boy, I couldn't pass an exam. I wouldn't learn English history. I didn't like it at all. All the dead kings gone, and only to find I've been part of this history now for some time.
After growing up in Jamaica, a lack of job opportunities and the outbreak of war in Europe led him to volunteer with the Royal Air Force 4 years earlier. He trained as an engineer, spending 6 months in Leeds before returning to the Caribbean, but he'd set his heart on a return to West Yorkshire.
It was cold. That was the only thing that bothered me when I first came. But I got used to it more or less. When love started to come into it, that's when I really decided somehow I must come to England.
It was the Empire Windrush that made that happen. Alfred was among thousands to arrive in the UK from the Caribbean from 1948 until 1971, initially to help rebuild Britain's economy after the Second World War.
Wanted to be a motor mechanic. I couldn't get a job. At the time, there were a lot of Englishmen coming out to the army. My idea was to work and raise a good family. And I think I've raised a beautiful family. Yeah, I'm proud of him. Precious memories.
He counts 8 children, 11 grandchildren, 25 great-grandchildren and 1 great-great-grandchild among that family. Those among the tens, if not hundreds of thousands of people who can trace their history back to those pioneers.
Dad, this is the book. It's your life story.
My life story, it's in print.
Alford's long journey has now been documented by his eldest son Howard and is soon to be published. He says everything from the prejudice they faced to the trail they blazed in food and culture are things we can all learn from.
They've shown the world how people can live in a multicultural society. His generation is a part and a big part of this country's history. And these celebrations will keep the memory of these people have done alive.
What lessons do you think you've learned?
Live happily. Work hard. Yeah. Enjoy life.
So while Alford's journey has brought honours and recognition, the smiles, the laughter and the pride he says came along the way are among the things he prizes the most. Jonathan Brown, ITV News, Leeds.
What a life and what a story to tell.
It's an incredible story.
Absolutely.
It really is, and we wish him all the best.
We do. Now, finally tonight, as Poet Laureate Simon Armitage's verse has already commemorated some of the most iconic moments in history, from the anniversary of the moon landings to, most recently, the death of the Queen.
Well, now his latest project will see the words of the Yorkshire-born writer become a part of an iconic landscape that inspired him as a child. Helen Steele went to meet him and find out more.
You might think rocks aren't the most inspiring subjects for a poem, but these are no ordinary rocks. And this is no ordinary poet.
So, Simon, tell us what we're doing here then.
We're here for the unveiling of a poem that I've written about Brimham Rocks, which is over yonder somewhere and it's been carved onto 2 stones. I'd been here as a kid, and I think back then I just thought it was an adventure playground, scrambling around on the rocks. And then I suppose coming back as an adult and as a poet, I've got different outlooks, different views, and for me it's all about nature now and protecting nature and looking after these really special and peculiar places.
Well, I'm now standing on 340 million years of history, and still today hundreds of thousands of people visit Brimham Rocks every year. But this poem wasn't just commissioned to celebrate the historical significance of these rocks or the beauty of this view. It was also designed to encourage people to look after them so they can visit them in the years to come.
The poem, carved into pillars on the nearby moorland, is called Balancing Act, referencing not only the precarious rocks, but also the need to preserve them.
We find that most people just come to a little part of the site, so it's a really tricky balance in terms of the conservation of the site for us, whilst making sure people have a really great time. So we're hoping having the poem on the moor might encourage people to see a bit more of the site.
The poem also encourages us to balance busy lives with some time simply to stop.
Hopefully, in such a busy place, they'll just pause for a moment. And I think that's what Simon wanted to achieve as well, is just pause and reflect on our lives and on the part nature plays in it.
So here we are at the installation. Would you do the honours for us?
Balancing Act. The rocks are something else. Grant standing here with their temple chic and their stage names, flaunting their alien shapes. Of course the horizon doesn't exist, but here it is, a scattered henge, massive chunks of ballast holding the centuries down, keeping the planet in place. A jittery mind can lean into these blocks and sense the still centre of things thinking solidly back.
Oh, beautifully read as well. Simon Armitage ending that report from Helen Steele in that beautiful location.
A beautiful location, a beautiful day for it. Is this sunny weather going to carry on? Let's find out with Kerry.
Good visibility on the horizon. TUI sponsors ITV Yorkshire Weather.
Hello, very good evening to you yet again across the region today. Some lovely warm sunny spells. Cloud bubbling up though, and also those heavy and thundery downpours in places, producing some Surface water spray and tricky driving conditions in places. There is a Met Office warning in place until 8 o'clock. And then things start to change a little bit as we head towards the weekend. High pressure trying to build from the south, but pushing south and eastwards. So we're fairly well placed for the weekend for dry and warm and sunny conditions. But you can see weather fronts trying to push in from the west, and we do think they will do by the end of the weekend on Sunday. So a slightly fresher, mobile weather pattern as we head into Monday, Tuesday. But in the meantime, for this evening, still the risk of a heavy and thundery shower. But for most of us, it becomes dry. But you can see low clouds starting to develop out into the North Sea, and that's going to edge its way a little bit inland. So overall, more cloud, dry overnight tonight, and with light winds. It's a really close, muggy and humid one. Fantastic shot from the solstice yesterday. A big thank you to John Victor. 4:35 and 9:41 by Friday sometime. So tomorrow, more cloud in the mix from the word go, and generally a cloudier day. You can see quite a bit of cloud shadow on our maps behind me there. But as we head through into the afternoon, there's the risk of some showery outbreaks of rain by the very end of the day, pushing onto the Pennines. For most of us, we will be dry, still fairly warm, bit of a breeze, so a slightly different feel, and the humidity still high, unfortunately. Showery outbreaks pushing through along that system during the course of tomorrow night, but again, most of the weather activity should stay out west, so sunny spells, scattered showers, and very warm by the time we reach Saturday. On Sunday, I can use the word hot sunshine on Sunday, but a big dip in temperatures by Monday.
TUI sponsors ITV Yorkshire Weather.
Hello, summer. Piri sponsors ITV Pollen Count.
Well, it wouldn't surprise me if that grass pollen hadn't exhausted itself by the time we get to Sunday, when it becomes very hot across the Calendar region. It's high or very high over the next few days. Take care. See you soon.
Thank you, Kerry. I think there'll be a lot of people wishing that grass pollen would exhaust itself.
I know, it's not very nice if you suffer from
No,
hay fever,
no.
is it? Terrible. And look at those temperatures, 30 degrees on Sunday. Wow. That's it for now. We're back at 10:30. I hope very much to see you tomorrow as well. Good night.
Bye-bye.